Welcome, everyone. We'll start by addressing a few logistics regarding this session. This webinar is scheduled for 1 hour. We'd likely share content over the first 45 minutes, allowing the remaining time for questions and answers at the end. We will be recording the session, and the deck will be made available by request. We ask that any questions be submitted directly through the GoToMeeting webinar facility, and these will be presented at the end of the session. My name is Versha Butt, and I'm president of Xpertdoc Technologies. We're proud to be hosting this webinar today with Novarica as a contributing panelist. Matt Yusefowitz, managing director of Novarica, will share insights on the role of cloud and multi-channel communications as it pertains to the world of insurance. Following Matt's presentation, we'll share what Xpertdoc has been offering and experiencing with our clients. Cloud and mobility are a big part of the document generation scene today, and we'll aim to share both the technologies and case study applications from clients leveraging the Xpertdoc from the Cloud solution. While we typically encourage and enjoy an interactive form of questions in our presentations, we do request that all questions be posed through the GoToMeeting interface to allow us to stick to the time allotment for this webinar. We will aim to cover all of these questions at the end of the session. So on that note, it's my great pleasure to introduce and welcome Matt to the session. Matt, your reputation precedes you with many of the attendees that are joining us today from the world of insurance. We're keen to hear what you've been discovering as the trends and best practices with cloud and communications, so I'll hand over to you.
Great. Thanks very much, Varsha, and thanks everyone for joining the webinar today. Just on the next slide, there's just some quick information about Novarica for people who aren't familiar with us. We are strategy advisors focused on insurance operations and technology, and we work with dozens of insurer CIOs to advise them on best practices, peer behaviors, and vendor solution selection in order to meet the challenges of delivering customer experience and meeting business user expectations with modern technology. If you go to the next slide, I want to talk a little bit about the role of documents in the insurance industry. Despite the fact that so much of communication takes place across digital channels, the basic unit of information in the insurance process is still the document. And as you can see, insurers are publishing and receiving documents through every stage of the life cycle. The documents are generally created out of an internal content archive and published out through multiple channels in the product design phase, through marketing and distribution, in underwriting, policy issue, billing, service correspondence, and the claims process. At the same time, documents are coming in from the field, being submitted by distributors, by customers, and being managed in a document archive and in the internal workflow systems of the insurer. So while more and more of that information is coming in structured electronic form, in a lot of cases the output, even if that's being delivered through electronic channels, is still using a document metaphor in terms of its completeness and the experience that it's delivering to the customer. At the same time, insurers are also delivering information and alerts outside of the document metaphor to provide updates on status, to provide streamlined billing information and transactional capabilities, especially around premium payment or claims notification. So the process has gotten much more complex, not just because documents have moved from physical to electronic, but because information has been freed from the structured document form into its component pieces. And so insurers face a tremendous challenge in keeping all of this consistent with itself and making sure that the same information that's being delivered in documents, which in many cases are meeting regulatory requirements, are also being delivered in the alerts and the digital information that's going out to those customers. If you look at the next slide, there's been a real distinction since the digital revolution hit the insurance industry over the last 15 years between high tech and high touch. There's been a sense that the digital channels are only for the high volume, low customer interaction, and that companies that rely on personal agents or heavy personal interaction are somehow operating outside of the modern economy and modern information technology requirements. I think this this mindset has diminished certainly over the last, let's say, 5 years, as things like the consumerization of IT and the massive proliferation of smartphones have really tipped customer expectation across the entire economy into expecting both personal relationships and as needed information and instant access to information. If you look at the next slide, consumers' expectations for customer experience are being driven by not other companies in the insurance industry, but by some of the companies on this slide, the Amazons, the Googles, the iPhones, and Apple, Facebook. People expect information to be easily accessible to them however they want it, whenever they want it. We're living in a world now of data superabundance and instant information access, and this is the quote at the bottom of the slide here is my favorite William Gibson quote. It says, "The future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed." So customers of old line insurance companies are experiencing different levels of customer service and different levels of information accessibility across multiple channels in almost every other aspect of their lives, including other financial services that they're interacting with, whether they're high net worth individuals who are interacting with full service brokerages and their very comprehensive online reporting and interactive statements, or if they are mass affluent banking customers who are dealing with some of the mobile banking capabilities and rich online capabilities that every bank is deploying today. If you go to the next slide, this shows the growth of different technology-enabled capabilities among insurers over the past decade or so. This is based on a survey that we did in 2011 towards the end of the year. And what we asked companies is, which of these capabilities did they have 7 years ago in 2004, and which of these capabilities do they have today? And if you look at the short bars, the short dark blue bars, that's the level of deployment of different capabilities in 2004. So barely half of the companies had an informational agent portal, and only about 40% of them had a transactional portal. Only about 40% of them had an informational customer portal, and fewer than 20% had a transactional customer portal. If you go down to electronic bill presentment and payment, in 2004, only about 20% of companies had electronic bill presentment and payment. By 2011, it was over almost 70%. And if you look at multi-channel electronic documents, in 2004, only about 20% or fewer had multi-channel electronic documents. By 2011, it was over 80%. So it's gone from a nice-to-have to a must-have for insurers. And one of the challenges is that insurers who've invested in earlier generations of multi-channel document in, say, the late 2000s or the mid-2000s, a lot of those solutions were really designed for web and not necessarily designed for emerging channels like tablet and mobile. Although many of them have caught up, companies are looking at their capabilities and looking at what they need to meet modern levels of customer expectation. So if you look at the next slide, this is based on our most recent survey of what insurers are planning for 2013 when it comes to their document publishing systems, their CCM systems, and this is broken out by different sizes and sectors of the industry. Excuse me. So the large companies are those with over $1 billion in premium. The mid-size are those with between $100 million and $1 billion in premium. So if you look at this chart, we see that more than a third of companies across nearly all size and sector groups are either planning to or are in the middle of replacing their CCM systems or are planning to significantly enhance them in the coming year. So it's something that companies are investing in order to meet those consumer challenges for customer experience. I wanted to talk briefly about e-documents and the cloud. Cloud is a topic that has come up a lot. There's a lot of interest now. Carriers are starting to look at which capabilities they can leverage cloud delivery systems. And the first thing that I wanted to do is talk about what does cloud mean. Cloud is used to mean a lot of different things by a lot of different people. You can go to the next slide. We break out about 5 different categories of things that could be considered cloud. And that ranges from traditional business process outsourcing and TPA type relationships to hosted applications to software as a service, which would be hosted applications that are delivered on a subscription basis, typically multi-tenant, although not necessarily, and then platform as a service, which is a remote development environment, and infrastructure as a service, which by some definitions is considered true cloud, which is essentially scalable server space delivered electronically. So delivered remotely. So there are lots of different things that fall under the broad definition of cloud. When we talk about CCM and cloud, most commonly we're talking about software as a service, which is to say subscription-based software delivered from a remote data center or from a remote cloud infrastructure environment. If you look at the next slide, insurers are planning to increase usage of all types of cloud over the next couple of years, with most of the emphasis on software as a service, which is to say subscription-based software. So if you look at this chart, more than almost 60% of companies are planning to use either more or much more software as a service capabilities over the next 2 years. Public cloud is still something that insurers are quite wary of, whether it's Amazon Web Services or Google Public Cloud or others. Much more comfortable with external private cloud, where there are where there's a counterparty that the company is comfortable working with, and various guarantees around security and service levels that some of the public cloud providers just haven't been able to deliver yet to large corporate clients. And then companies are also investing in internal cloud, variabilizing their own data centers. A lot of this is made possible by the heavy investments in virtualization over the last few years. If you look at the next slide, in terms of the types of applications that folks are most interested in using cloud and SaaS, they're typically used in what we would consider outer ring applications. So this is the Novarica Insurance Core Systems map, and it's basically a high-level applications map for the insurance industry. On the left in the gold are the front-end systems, agent portal, customer portal, distribution management. On the right in gray are the back-end systems, disbursements, and general ledger. In the center is core policy admin, which may include some of the other components like underwriter workbench, rating engine, core claims, reinsurance management, or billing. And then across all of those are document management and workflow, which is to say that repository of received documents, and then document creation, CCM, which is the publishing capability, and also CRM. So if you look at, and then over to the side is business intelligence, both repository and reporting. If you look at where carriers are most active in using cloud and SaaS today, it's not in that core. There isn't a lot of SaaS delivered core policy admin or rating or underwriting or claims or reinsurance management or even billing, although there is some billing. There's certainly a lot of interest in CRM, obviously driven by companies like Salesforce, and some of the other outer ring capabilities like portals, like workflow, and like CCM are where carriers see that there's really an advantage to take, really an opportunity to take advantage of the flexibility of SaaS and cloud without being challenged too much by the integration issues and still some of the perceived security issues. Although those are manageable, there's still cultural issues around them of moving some of those core applications into the cloud. So if we look at the next slide, it really just summarizes some of what insurers are thinking about in terms of the challenges and advantages of embracing cloud and SaaS. Some of the challenges are the integration outside of the firewall. It requires a different set of technology skills to be integrating with external systems in some cases than with internal systems, although many SaaS providers have ways to help carriers get involved in that and build those skills and deploy those capabilities. A lot of the challenge also is cultural and structural in terms of incorporating variable costs into budgeting. A lot of insurers' IT budgeting structures are based on capital investments that run off over time, or having a fixed knowledge of what the cost of a system is going to be from year to year, and some SaaS models with some of the variable costing can create challenges for that, although that's also an opportunity in terms of paying less for systems that are used less. There's also the challenge of living within the limits of configurability of a SaaS delivered system. You know, a SaaS system has multiple clients using possibly the same instance or parallel instances, and although those systems are highly configurable, they tend not to be highly customizable. And so carriers that are used to buying software and then doing terrible things to it find that they're not able to do that with SaaS solutions. Frankly, we think this is an advantage because a lot of the legacy challenges that we see when we work with insurers on core system strategies are a result of having over-modified packaged software to the point where it doesn't do what it was supposed to do anymore. And then there's the general issue around security and vendor reliability. Obviously, if you're putting a core capability outside of your enterprise, you need to be highly confident in who that partner is and making sure that they're going to meet your standards and that they're going to be there and that you have not only the right contractual protections, but also a reasonable expectation of continued service and continued success. The advantages, though, for carriers are significant. First, there's the opportunity to try before you buy and deploy very quickly, which is a significant advantage when you look at some of the startup times and deployment times of installed software, which tend to be significantly higher. There's a simplification and speed of using those configurable external applications instead of internal applications that you're highly customizing. There's the flexibility to ramp up and down capability and cost, the reduced project risk of getting onto software that's already running as opposed to building it internally, and then the unified environment potential to manage multiple capabilities inside a unified external environment. So there's a lot of advantages for insurers looking at clouds. One of the things that's driving it, again, we see a very high increase in adoption rate across all of the outer ring capabilities, and CCM is definitely a part of that story. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Varsha, and I look forward to your questions at the end of the session.
Hey, thank you, Matt. So in the last slide presented from Novarica, we got a better understanding of both the challenges and advantages of embracing cloud. The competitive nature of the current business environment is pushing companies to find new ways to deliver higher levels of efficiency and productivity than ever before, and that's evidenced through many different reports and studies that are being conducted today. The increase in workflow adoption and increased cloud adoption in tandem really demonstrates how firms are looking for ways to be more flexible and responsive to clients and staff requirements. The increasing focus of the user experience also implies that software should be getting easier to use. I'd like us to take a look at really prevalent business processes across all industries, the generation of letters and contracts that require both personalization and tailoring for jurisdictional compliance. Letter and contract management is in most companies is ripe with inefficiency. But just to make sure we're all on the same page, let's talk about what this is and what it means to your organization. Let's think about your current work environment. What is the process you go through to put together a simple letter, or a newsletter with relevant content for the end user, or even a contract that leverages existing client data that you already have in your system? The generation of these types of documents is often highly inefficient, time-consuming, error-prone, and often lagging on compliance. The Xpertdoc solution embraces the full communications lifecycle that you see depicted here. Many of you are familiar with the core elements of the document generation process. But to summarize, we must address the ability of the business user to design dynamic, powerful templates that leverage business rules engines for high efficiency. Users should be able to tailor their communications to reflect the relationship and messaging they share with their clients, and be able to distribute these generated documents in a vast array of distribution options, offering content to their clients in the method the client prefers. And finally, companies should be able to enforce compliance at each of these stages. Because Xpertdoc truly leverages the Microsoft Word platform better than any other company, the benefits of OpenXML and Word are delivered in rendered documents generated from within the Xpertdoc solution. In fact, the use of Word means that the average business user leverages familiarity they have in working in a known environment. That ensures rapid uptake and widespread adoption across the firm. But because the templates are designed within Xpertdoc Designer, this leverages the power of OpenXML. And companies enjoy the full performance enhancements, flexibility, and feature-rich options in the toolset. So where do companies stand on this debate between on-premise and cloud deployments that Matt was touching on earlier? Well, Xpertdoc offers its solution on both platforms, allowing companies to elect their preferred environments from the start or change and adapt their requirements based on changes in their infrastructure and policies. On top of this, you can add the mobility to the mix. And this is where analysts and consultants are evaluating the impact of technologies on business responsiveness, client interactions, and competitive standing in the marketplace. In a recent paper on cloud and its play with insurers, Accenture notes that through social platforms, along with a greater understanding of customer needs through real-time capabilities, cloud may finally move the industry closer to its customers. Quoting from that very same paper, they note that cloud platforms provide the scalability needed to quickly process and analyze data streaming into companies. Accenture believes that real-time data collection from multiple sources will become a core to insurance carriers' business and a primary source of innovation. Real-time data will not only allow carriers to offer better pricing and better estimate risks. In addition, the data will serve as a basis for new services and products by which carriers will reinvent themselves. On the mobility side, according to AIM research, 67% of respondents consider mobile technologies to be important or extremely important to improving their business processes. Yet interestingly, 76% have no mobile access to their DM or ECM systems. More interestingly, 45% of respondents consider that the speed of response to customers, suppliers, citizens, or staff would be improved by 3 times or more by the use of mobile information, access, process interaction, and local capture. With this convergence of 3 technologies, cloud, mobility, and advanced analytics, we can see how technology is transforming the value proposition that insurance companies offer their customers. In fact, any company in any industry caring about their clients will see the value in leveraging these trends. So where does Xpertdoc play in these fields? Well, first, the power of Xpertdoc is evident in how it leverages Word as its primary user interface. Second, embracing HTML5, Xpertdoc offers users the option of moving between devices while maintaining a consistent user interface that can also reflect user preferences like frequently used documents for quick access. Third, leveraging the Azure platform, Xpertdoc from the cloud not only gives users the choice of where they access their documents, but companies can easily scale user privileges up or down as requirements change. So for your business, think of document generation from any mobile device, any tablet, or any laptop. Basically anywhere the user is conducting business. And these are also linked back to your core business systems back at the office. This allows users to generate documents from within the environment they're already operating from. CRM, ERP, ECM, billing, policy admin, claims management, and so on. Because Xpertdoc's been delivering its document generation capabilities across numerous environments, we also have packaged strong solutions that bring the document generation and content tracking capabilities to various business applications. Here are some applications you may want to consider besides the contract management scenario. So ladder management, the benefits booklet solutions, lead to close, so how you're developing your proposals and contracts, contract review and execution, and of course migration technologies to go from some of the legacy solutions you may already have in play. So let's look at a couple of specific business scenarios. Think of how you generate letters and about rapidly issuing invoices and statements to clients on demand. Custom quotes and proposals developed and tailored in a matter of minutes instead of days. It usually is very well received by your clients. And of course, ensuring compliance with all of those changing regulations, legal or financial, is brought about by compliance specialists in a matter of minutes across all templates used by all business users in all regions. And how about business processes that need to provision the completion of government forms, ripe with penalties for noncompliance? And of course, being able to produce powerful, beautiful reports, pulling data from various internal systems while leveraging the tailoring capabilities of Word. From Xpertdoc, we're not only pushing the envelope on our core technologies, we also offer integrated extensions that are relevant to our clients, including electronic signature, advanced print and ECM, and third-party email and print services. While these are some powerful metrics that have been reported by our clients on this slide here, the likes of 10 times productivity gains, reduction in staff new hires, template rationalization, and the ease of maintenance, I'd like to also share with you a few live case studies and calculated benefits as shared by these clients, specific to their adoption of Xpertdoc from the cloud. So the first is CGU, a workers' compensation group based in Australia. They offer products for personal, rural, commercial, and workers' compensation insurance needs. They were challenged by a complex letter production system that required IT's involvement in every letter update. Compliance was lagging terribly and adoption was slow and sporadic, leading to more inconsistencies and non-compliance. CGU went in search of a web-based claims generation solution. They needed to ensure approval was based on the document type and needed the ability to merge multiple items into one communication piece. Their operations also required multi-channel and multi-format delivery options. The Xpertdoc solution really brought them some rapid returns. More than 150 templates were specifically tailored to their business processes and made available to their claims agents. Letter generation time went down from over half an hour down to under 5 minutes. Templates were now linked to their claims system, allowing for easy incorporation of client data, saving their agents the time to retype key information into the body of the letters, and improving the overall quality of communications. New letter templates could now be created and added to the system without any IT assistance required, and leveraging a centralized template library ensures that everyone was always using the most up-to-date legal and branding content. But the clincher for them was after deployment, when they discovered their claims agents were able to handle double the number of cases per day, giving rise to an estimated savings of $500,000 per year in staffing alone. I'll share this quote from CGU, their business analyst Justin Kunin, who essentially quantified the returns from their Xpertdoc deployment. The next case example is that of Prologis. It's a building lease management company. Their operating portfolio covers over 3,100 industrial facilities across 22 countries. The problem they were having was around the high turnover times in getting a lease to a new tenant. This was resulting in a high number of lost deals. Legal counsel were also frustrated by having to do repetitive reviews and updates through the selling process. Prologis went specifically in search of a solution that would bring ease to the assembly of complex leases, but they were determined to leverage a cloud offering, and this was made a condition of discussions they had with global vendors. A tailored proof of concept made it easy for Prologis to realize the Xpertdoc solution was a perfect match to their requirements. Implementation to exact specifications was quick, and IT was not at all implicated in the deployment process. In fact, most of the directives came from legal counsel requirements. Presenting a first draft of a lease in front of a client usually took 3 days and was one of the main bottlenecks in moving transactions forward. After the Xpertdoc deployment, the same process only takes 20 minutes, and this prompt reaction time is helping them to close more business faster. The cloud-based template leveraged smart rules to ensure corporate standards and state-specific rules are handled automatically, and this freed up counsel's time to focus on more important transactions and remove them as a constraint in that sales process. Jason Murphy, the corporate counsel at Prologis, was a lead player in the deployment project with Xpertdoc. Following the deployment, he shared his comments that you see here on the screen on how happy he was to recommend the Xpertdoc solution. A final case example I'd like to share today is Symetra Life Insurance. With 1.8 million customers and over 1,100 employees, this company faced a business-critical requirement that centered around their new deployment of dynamic CRM. They needed to convert 450 letter templates fast. A seamless integration to dynamic CRM was also a requirement for this team. This is simply a wonderful but highly representative example of how the Xpertdoc technology and our deployment and training process works. At Symetra, a team of 4 people were able to convert 450 of their standard letters into the Xpertdoc solution in only 3 weeks. They essentially had this project progress from start to go live in only 6 weeks. They wanted fast, but they never expected it to be done that fast. Jay Oram, AVP at Symetra, shared his insights to the project with this quote, detailing how when they looked at other vendors' products, the estimations would have been 18 months and more to get the conversion done. Of course, as we know now with the Xpertdoc deployment, this was done in a matter of weeks. So with that last example, I'd wish to close our webinar today. I trust you've seen and learned how Xpertdoc, leveraging mobility and cloud options, alongside the more standard on-premise deployment, can help you deliver results previously unheard of in the industry. I invite you to contact us for any further details or simply sign up to our newsletter online to stay abreast of new developments in the field. With that, I'd like to now open the forum to any questions. Matt, this first question is probably best addressed by you. In the Novarica slides, you present cloud for insurance. Can you comment on how cloud is influencing the core insurance systems?
There are certainly some providers that are offering core insurance systems like policy admin, rating, claims, or billing in the cloud. However, the adoption rate on those is still relatively low. There are some companies who have embraced cloud or SaaS, especially for secondary lines of businesses or startup lines of business, but the adoption rate in terms of core applications for core businesses is still comparatively low. There are some examples. There are some folks starting to do it, and we do expect it to grow. But for today, it's not a significant piece of the market. Most companies that are replacing core systems today, and there's a very active replacement market today, are focusing primarily on installed software that lives in-house.
Thank you, Matt. I can probably take this next one. The question is, how does Xpertdoc see mobility at play in the insurance sector? So we decided to extend our document generation technologies to various mobility platforms because that's where we saw business users spending their time. Think about an agent on the road meeting his clients. How better to engage and secure new clients than to be able to showcase the policy on his tablet, get an e-signature while at the client's home, and have it returned electronically in PDF format to the client's smartphone while the agent is still sitting there at the kitchen table. We already have the composition engine strength that enterprises were using, and so the distribution channels users wanted to support. So bringing these capabilities to mobile devices was a natural extension for us. Matt, do you wish to add anything from your perspective to that?
We definitely see mobile growing in the insurance space. I think a lot of the early hype around mobile was around the direct-to-consumer personal lines writers, but we're seeing increased use of mobile for distributors, for customer service to policyholders, and for field staff like claims adjusters and marketing reps. So mobile is very rapidly, especially given its conflation with tablet and the evolution of the iOS-Android duoculture for platform, it's rapidly becoming an additional interface that we expect to rival desktop browser-based delivery in the near future.
I have another question here regarding cloud. Actually, it's regarding the Xpertdoc cloud offering. The question is, what cloud platform is Xpertdoc built on? Xpertdoc from the cloud is hosted on the Microsoft Azure platform in the US. If you're looking for private hosting, it can equally leverage other providers such as Amazon, IBM, Google, etc. Are there any more questions from the forum? So I don't see any more questions, so I'd like to thank you all for joining the session. And Matt, I thank you again for your shared insights and contributions to this event. We welcome you all to check us out on our website and certainly subscribe to our newsletter to stay in touch with what's happening with Xpertdoc and in the industry. Thank you all. Goodbye.